Hello, Alexander Hagan, CEO of a medium-sized tech company in Silicon Valley, former research engineer and financial journalist. I've been attending the DNC meetings a bit over the last 3 or 4 days in San Francisco. I went to a strategy conference. I was sent an invite by Our Revolution, and as all people presumably who live around here were, and was told we would lose the first vote and then we would be looking to do something like a floor vote of all the DNC members by a lady named R.L. Miller, who's the California Environmental Caucus chair, who I suggest you follow, who will explain things probably better than I will. But it has been extremely demoralizing and infuriating to watch what has transpired. So I think it was on I don't know if it's Thursday night or Wednesday night, where we had this strategy meeting preparing that we'd be defeated by the committee because they're all stacked with Tom Perez's people, and that our hope would be for a floor vote. And then, as I understand it, on Saturday, Perez said that this vote was a test of his leadership. So Tom Perez has basically gone head to head against the environmental movement, which is a stunning concept, that the head of the of the National Democratic Party would decide that he's declaring that if we have a climate debate, that we are testing his leadership, and that the best success to prove he has good leadership is to cancel this debate. And I've been watching online as a few people who don't want to attack Perez say, well, it's no big deal. We can have a town hall. We can do this, do that. We just need to get rid of Trump. Also, what did I learn at these meetings? So the Extinction Rebellion wasn't at these meetings, which I thought was a problem. Sunrise Movement was out in force on, I guess it was Thursday and Friday. And it turns out, when I was listening to their presentations, one of the interesting things I discovered is that the DNC only has 6,000 donors who have donated $40-something million. That works out to $8,000 per donor. So their donor base is entirely elite people. So this, and the whole way this system works is utterly arcane and creepy. It's clearly a set of insiders. I mean, I've heard of cases where they had meetings that you couldn't even find out what room they were in, that they would not allow, as you might have seen if you've been watching online, they tried to block people from entering the room to discuss this. It's the most anti-democratic organization that I can imagine that would call itself the Democratic Party. And, I've asked people, what is going to be easier for citizen rule? Is it going to be reform the Democratic Party to start a new party? And obviously that's another can of worms. So just giving you a brief update. I've been out there. I've listened to the street action at the DNC meetings. And we have a party that's run by people that are opposed to the citizens and the grassroots. So we have a serious problem. At minimum, we need to turn out vast amounts of progressives at every level, because these DNC people, fundamentally power comes from elected office. So if you have a majority of the elected offices, it'll be hard for them to keep this game going. But it's extremely disgusting. And let me just end by saying, what is climate change? So we have the Arctic melting, we have the Antarctic slipping on one side, effectively melting. We have Greenland melting. This will lead to less reflective surface on the Earth. This will heat up the Earth. We have Siberia burning. We have Alaska burning. What's going on in the Amazon, which is extremely distressing, seems to be deliberately set fires. So what are all the feedback loops that kick in? Well, cold water will stop recircling with warm water between the area around Florida, for example, and the area around Greenland, because this conveyor belt of cold water is going to slow down. The same thing's happening in the atmosphere. The conveyor belts of different climate systems are going to slow down as the temperature difference gets closer between the Arctic and the tropics. We're going to see great amounts of desertification. For every degree C of climate change, there's a massive change in the nutritional value of grains. We're going to have sea level rise. We're going to have less farmland. We're going to have less land to live on. The grain is going to be less productive. We're going to have heat waves that will be lethal. And the longer that we let this go on, the harder it will be to remediate. So imagine trying to put back together Greenland after it's melted. It's essentially an impossible task. So once these things collapse, I mean, imagine if somebody went to you and said, hey, I'd like you to lower the sea level by 10 feet. You'd say, that's impossible. So the idea of reversing some of these things might take tens of thousands of years. It will happen very quickly. And everything we need, we have. So we need to change from a carbon-based fuel system to an electric-based fuel system, largely driven by solar power. A 100-mile by 100-mile array of solar panels could drive the entire U.S.'s energy needs, according to Elon Musk. The other part is that we should set aside 1% of global GDP for paying countries that have important natural systems that act for the globe to maintain and restore those systems. So we can go to somebody like Bolsonaro and simply offer him 1% of global GDP would be $800 billion. We start with the Amazon and allocate 25% of that would be $200 billion. That means that we would have a $200 billion a year fund to provide for the Amazon. So my second recommendation is that we provide a global fund to subsidize and maintain these natural systems. My name is Alexander Hagan. Good night and good luck.